Hey guys, this is Adam from Wolfes Combatives. I'm sitting down with Dennis and Bill Wolf today to talk a little bit about the history of Wolfes and where we're going in the future. Welcome, guys.
It's probably about 16 we started doing Aikido. I got the black belt in that, got the second dan. Did that for about 10, 12 years. Then started branching out, doing other cross-training with other different styles and stuff. And got back into things like Defendo. And so I really developed a proper system, using the base of boxing with other things, putting some realistic proper self-defense into what actually happens on the street, because sports is a sport. It's not the same thing as self-defense. And trying to make it as realistic as possible. That's the main goal for all these years that I've been doing it, which is what now, 39 years, 38 years.
Basically about 5 decades now worth of training. Started with judo, jiu-jitsu, Aikido. Dennis and I spent better part of 30 years beating the crap out of each other.
Pretty much.
In the military, Dennis and I were both instructors in a whole bit, especially when we were stationed in Germany together. So that's the Defendo side of things, the military aspect of it. When I was going through the police academy, obviously we saw the self-defense training there. Later, when I became an instructor at the academy, we were complaining about self-defense training. The police officer was so messed up, and we just finished, Doug Farrell's a good friend of mine, just finished the POPAT study, which is a study which was conducted over 2 years on assaults on police officers and how they were being victimized, for lack of a better description. And from Doug's research, I said, Doug, can we use this to design a self-defense package for police officers, which we call the modern Defendo, because we used the military platform that Dennis and I had been teaching in the military to teach police officers. So what Dennis and I did at that time was we literally took the Defendo curriculum and applied it to the stats that Doug had come up with on how mentally, physically, tactically that would be required to train. Dennis and I worked up, obviously, the fighting skills on each other. That I took them to the street as a police officer, and over a period of time we made sure they worked there, and then we came back to the drawing board, if you will. So that kind of launched us into, I guess, what got coined the reality self-defense side of things, and that's over 20 years ago now. So Wolfes Combatives is what we're doing now, and basically it's the, I guess you call it, fine evolution of all the years we've been doing this, 40 some odd years now. Defendo, in the original name, was what the Canadian Army system was called. Everybody referred to it as hand-to-hand combat or unarmed combat, but the original system that was put together for the first Canadian Special Air Service Company in the late 40s, after World War II, was called Defendo. Modern Defendo, as I told you, was what we decided to teach police officers. Now, Dennis wasn't a police officer, but he helped in that training. I was teaching skills. Dennis would come out and help. So what we needed to do was have a court defensible system that we could teach to police officers that today is called use of force. Back then we simply called it self-defense. So we took the Defendo curriculum as the platform, if you will, and taking Doug Farrell's research, we took very specific fighting skills, because you have a limited amount of time to train police officers, much like you do soldiers. So the modernization phase of Defendo will address those critical aspects that Doug's research showed. One, what was physically required, what was tactically required. We learned that police officers mentally weren't prepared, because what did they do before they got into the police work? They majored in beer drinking at university. So, and then of course there was that spiritual component, I will never give up aspect. So that was all the modernization phase of how to teach it to policemen, which later became what we worked through with John Parker and how to teach it to civilians, because going from a military format to a police format is quite different, because soldiers are trained to kill. That was our first priority in teaching soldiers. Policemen are trained to arrest and control. Killing may be part of that, in the right circumstances, not the lawful use of force, then you get into teaching civilians, which is a lot different than teaching policemen. So that's the modernization phase. Does that make sense?
The main reason for the name change to Wolfes Combatives really is brand Pacific. We don't want to get confused with a lot of other different places out of there, obviously, right? Then people start branding us as one system, and we want to keep it, separate. That's the main reason, probably. Anything else with that?
Yeah, following on that, I mean, we had with Defendo, Modern Defendo, for example, there was a guy not too far away from here, he was teaching Defendo. So I phoned him up and said, you're teaching Defendo, where did you get certified to teach Defendo? He says, I'm not, I just like the name. So, and we've had this problem, we set a very strict course training program, and, again, you can only keep honest people honest, and our training program was based off the military concept of training and later law enforcement, which has to be court defensible. So we had a very, we'll call it unmartial arts training where you didn't earn a belt, you had to actually take hard courses on method instruction, all this stuff. With Defendo, for example, it's name and common usage. It's Latin, it means to protect. So you can't copyright, you can't trademark it. So you or anybody watching this could say, I'm a Defendo instructor. And we, over a period of 20 years, established Defendo as a very effective system of self-defense. A lot of people kind of porched onto that, saying, well, there's no protection for the name. And of course, what they did is they leached away the reputation, the effectiveness of the system. And what we wanted to do was bring it back to its original training. And that's where Wolfes Combatives was born, because we own it. No one's going to steal our name, basically. So it's trademark, it's our system. And if you want to get real self-defense training, true self-defense training, you have to go through a very, very regimented instructor qualification process, which is akin to the military. And, if you deviate from it, we take away your right to teach it. And that way we maintain this system that you have this reputation to be one of the very best self-defense systems out there.
So essentially it was to reestablish and maintain the integrity of the system you guys have created. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming and talking with us today. This is great. See you guys on the mats.